The last stand of Earth begins with a simple, haunting question. What would you do if the fate of the world rested in your hands, and you were facing the end of humanity as you knew it? The Earth, a once thriving planet, now lies in ruins, shattered by relentless alien forces. The cities are destroyed, the skies are darkened, and the very air is heavy with the weight of humanity's struggles. Yet, amidst the destruction, a single glimmer of hope remains. One person, one last chance to save everything. In a world where survival is a battle and humanity's extinction is just a moment away, Commander Elena Rail is faced with a decision that will echo across the universe. Will she sacrifice everything to protect the people she loves, or will she stand down and watch the Earth fall into oblivion? The scene begins on the ruins of New York City. The once iconic skyline is now just a silhouette against the fiery sky. Alien ships, large and menacing, hover above what used to be a thriving metropolis. The Earth's once lush landscape is now scorched, the ground cracked and barren. There is an eerie stillness, broken only by the distant hum of alien technology and the occasional roar of a battle in the distance. The streets are empty, abandoned by humans who fought and died to defend their home. The camera zooms in on the protagonist, Commander Elena Rail, as she stands at the edge of what was once Central Park, staring out at the destruction. Her uniform, weathered and battle-worn, symbolizes the countless days she has fought for survival. She is the last of the Earth's military elite, a symbol of humanity's final hope. In her eyes is a determination that refuses to fade, but beneath it, a deep sorrow for what has already been lost. Elena's thoughts are consumed by the past. She remembers the day the invasion began, a day when the Earth was unprepared for the onslaught of an advanced alien force. Now, years later, only fragments of the human race remain, scattered across the globe, hiding and fighting for survival. Elena is the embodiment of humanity's defiance. She's seen it all, the loss, the desperation, and the resolve to fight back. Though the world has fallen, Elena has not given up. Her mission is clear: to find a way to strike back at the alien invaders and reclaim the Earth. She has lost friends, family, and comrades, but there is still a flicker of hope inside her. She knows that as long as she is breathing, Earth's last stand is still possible. Inciting incident. The calm is shattered by a sudden, intense vibration underfoot. Elena's eyes snap open, her hand instinctively reaching for her weapon. The alien forces have launched their final assault. A massive ship, larger than anything the Earth has ever seen, breaks through the atmosphere, casting a long shadow over the ruined city. Its immense size and the power it represents are enough to bring fear to even the most hardened soldier. But Elena stands tall, unyielding. She knows this is it, the moment that will determine the fate of humanity. The radio crackles to life, and a voice comes through, desperate and strained. Commander Rail, we need you. It's the last chance. If we're going to strike back, it has to be now. As Elena grips her weapon tightly, her mind begins to wander back to the days before the war. She recalls a time when Earth was vibrant and bustling, when humanity was on the verge of a golden age. There were no alien threats, no existential dangers, just the endless possibilities of human progress. She remembers her younger self, full of hope and optimism, enrolled in the military academy, eager to prove herself as a leader. The memory of those days is almost foreign to her now, overshadowed by the scars of war. In the academy, Elena was admired for her intelligence and resilience. She stood out among her peers, not just because of her skills, but because of her unwavering belief in humanity's potential. Her mentors would often say she was destined for greatness. But that was before the invasion, before everything changed. She recalls the moment the first alien ship appeared in the skies, its arrival marking the beginning of the end. The memories flood back, as vivid as if they happened yesterday. It was 3 years ago, during the first wave of attacks. Elena's team was deployed to defend a major military base in the Pacific, one of Earth's last strongholds. The alien forces descended without warning, their technology far more advanced than anything humans had at their disposal. The battle was fierce, but the humans were outmatched. She had watched as her comrades fell, one by one, overwhelmed by the sheer force of the alien invasion. The moment that still haunts her was when she was forced to give the order to retreat, an order she never thought she would have to give. The base fell, and with it, one of Earth's most strategic positions. Elena knew that this was just the beginning. The aliens were relentless, and humanity's back was against the wall. As she recalls this painful memory, Elena clenches her jaw. The thought of her fallen comrades stirs a deep sense of guilt within her. Could she have done more? Could they have won if they had fought harder, smarter? The doubt lingers, but she quickly pushes it aside. There's no time for regret now. Only the fight for survival remains. High above Earth, in the heart of the alien fleet, Commander Zalter gazes down at the planet below. His species, the Zarvans, have conquered countless worlds, each one bending to their will. Yet, Earth remains an enigma. The humans are unlike any species they have encountered before. Despite being technologically inferior, they show an uncanny resilience, a defiance that Zalter finds both intriguing and perplexing. He leans forward in his command chair, tapping his chin thoughtfully. Why do they not break? He mutters to himself. The Zarvans have bombarded their cities, wiped out entire populations, and yet humanity persists. They fight back. They rebuild. Even now, after the devastation, the humans have not given up. It's as if they thrive on adversity. Zalter can't understand it. The humans don't fight like the other species they've conquered. They don't fight for territory, for resources, or for power. No. The humans fight for something else, a principle, a purpose. And that is what confounds Zalter the most. What do they value so deeply that they are willing to die for it? This question echoes in his mind as he surveys the ongoing conflict. Around Zalter, his officers discuss the humans in hushed tones. Vrax, his second-in-command, looks at the data on his screen and frowns. The humans are unlike any species we've encountered. They seem to possess a unique drive, a will to survive that we have never seen before. Zalter nods in agreement. Indeed, they call it hope, a strange concept, yet one that fuels their resistance. It is disturbing. He pauses, considering. Perhaps this is why they are so dangerous. They don't fight to win. They fight because they must. They fight because they believe they can. That belief is what makes them a threat. The officers fall silent, each one considering Zalter's words. The alien species had underestimated the humans. They thought their advanced technology and overwhelming forces would crush them without resistance. But now, 3 years into the war, Earth still stands, and the Zarvans are beginning to question their initial assessment. Zalter turns his gaze back to Earth, the planet that has stubbornly resisted their domination. Prepare the fleet. This will not be as easy as we thought, he says, a tone of determination in his voice. He understands now that defeating humanity will not be a simple conquest. To break them will take more than just firepower. It will take something far more elusive. It will take the breaking of their spirit. And Zalter is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that. The scene flashes back to the pivotal battle that changed the course of humanity's resistance. In a darkened war room, General Miranda Williams stands before a holographic map of Earth's defenses. The once proud cities now lie in ruins, their ruins serving as a grim reminder of how the world was slowly crumbling under the alien assault. Miranda, her face hardened by the years of conflict, taps the glowing display, and the map zooms in on the alien fleet that looms near Earth orbit. The alien fleet outnumbers their forces, their weapons more advanced by leagues. A full-scale invasion is imminent. Earth's last line of defense, a coalition of global forces, has already suffered heavy casualties. The weight of the planet's future rests heavily on her shoulders. But Miranda does not show fear. Instead, She looks at the screen, her mind racing through the possible options. The decision that will be made here will shape the future of humanity. It will determine whether Earth survives or is annihilated. One of her officers, Lieutenant Daniel Green, speaks up. General, we have a chance to strike. If we deploy everything we have, we could cripple their fleet. We'll lose a lot of good people, but we could break their lines. Miranda remains silent, contemplating the gravity of the decision. She looks at the faces of her officers, all weary, all knowing what's at stake. The human code, patience, strategy, restraint, has always been their guide, but this time, the situation is dire. They have been pushed to the brink. But Miranda's heart aches at the thought of so many lives being lost. The humanity she is fighting for is not built on senseless sacrifice. It is built on protecting the lives that still remain, and that, more than any victory, is what matters. We wait, Miranda says, her voice steady but resolute. We don't attack blindly. We need information. We need to know their next move. Sacrificing more lives for a potential victory is not what we're about. We will not act in desperation. Patience will win this war, not rashness. Her words hang in the air, and her officers, though hesitant, nod in agreement. The strategy of restraint, of holding back when the enemy expects them to charge ahead, is what has kept humanity's spirit intact for so long. They will not abandon their principles, even when the enemy is at their doorstep. As Miranda walks through the dimly lit hallways of the command center, her thoughts drift to the underlying philosophy that has guided humanity through its darkest days. It is a philosophy not of blind violence or impulsive action, but of careful calculation and restraint. Humanity's strength lies in its ability to persevere despite overwhelming odds. Theirs is a fight not for glory, but for survival, an instinct that is woven into the very fabric of their being. They do not fight out of vengeance or hatred. Instead, they fight because it is their duty to protect those they love, those they have sworn to defend. This philosophy is what has given humanity its edge in the war against the Zarvans. While the aliens may rely on brute strength and advanced technology, humanity's greatest weapon is its mind. Its ability to plan, to think strategically, to wait for the right moment to strike. It is this unique aspect of human nature that has frustrated the Zarvans time and time again. Humanity's philosophy is simple. Never attack out of emotion. Never act hastily. Victory comes from understanding the enemy, from knowing when to fight and when to wait. It is the art of patience, of restraint, that makes them formidable opponents. And now, as the war reaches its climax, this philosophy will be tested like never before. The scene transitions back to the present, and the war has reached a critical point. The Zarvans' fleet hovers ominously above Earth's atmosphere, their ships casting long shadows over the cities below. The planet is in a state of perpetual tension, with every movement of the alien ships watched closely by Earth's last line of defense. Every day brings a new threat, a new sign that the countdown to humanity's final battle is rapidly dwindling. On the ground, humanity's forces are spread thin. Cities are fortified, but the enemy's technology is advancing at a pace no one could have predicted. The once unified global coalition is now fractured, with different nations having conflicting ideas on how to proceed. Some call for an all-out assault, desperate for a final push, while others argue for continued strategic patience, sticking to the human code of restraint. General Miranda Williams stands in the war room once more, her fingers tracing the holographic map as the latest intelligence reports come in. The Zarvans have positioned their fleet in a tight formation around Earth, their ships holding steady in a near-impenetrable defensive posture. The aliens seem to be waiting for something, though no one knows what. But Miranda can sense it. They are biding their time, just as humanity has been. She turns to her officers. We don't have much time. They're preparing for something. We need to act before it's too late. The officers exchange glances, unease palpable in the air. Every officer in the room knows that one misstep could doom humanity. The tension is unbearable, but Miranda is resolute. She understands the stakes. The patience they've held on to for so long might be running out. The question now isn't whether they wait. It's whether they can strike decisively enough to turn the tide in their favor. As the seconds tick by, Miranda feels the weight of history pressing down on her. This is it. The moment humanity has been waiting for. The moment when patience and strategy will be tested to their limits. They have held their ground for so long. But now, it is time to make their move. Prepare the fleet, Miranda orders, her voice cold and sharp as she looks out at the assembled officers. We will show them what we are made of. We may be outnumbered, but we are not without hope. We will take the fight to them. This is our last stand. The warning is clear. Earth is not going to go down quietly. The coalition forces are mobilizing, ready to launch a strategic strike at the heart of the Zarvan fleet. There will be no second chances. It's time for humanity to take its destiny into its own hands. Miranda's mind races as she considers the risks. Her decision may be the most significant in the history of humankind. It's a gamble, but the time for caution has passed. Now, humanity will have to rely on everything they've learned about their enemies and themselves. They have no other choice but to fight. The situation in the war room is tense. The hum of the computers and the beeping of alerts fill the air, but all Miranda can hear is the pounding of her own heartbeat. She watches the screens intently as the fleet's coordinates begin to shift. The Zarvans are moving, and Miranda knows that this is their moment. Earth's fleet, once fragmented and divided by different factions, now stands united in the face of the greatest threat they have ever known. That a soft chime breaks the silence, and a red light flashes across the map. Miranda's gaze sharpens. The moment has arrived. The human counteroffensive is about to be launched. But there's a surprising twist. The counterattack won't come from Earth's fleet alone. The strategic strike was always a part of the plan. But Miranda has just received a coded message from an unexpected source. An underground resistance group that has been preparing something far more devastating than any weapon Earth's military could muster. Activate the phase shift, Miranda orders, her voice steady and commanding. The officers look at her, confused. Phase shift? They had heard rumors of a secret project designed to harness the power of humanity's last hope, an experimental technology capable of folding the very fabric of space. It was a long-shot weapon, one that could break through the Zarvan defenses and hit their fleet at a point of vulnerability. But it was also untested, and its activation could have unpredictable consequences. Miranda's hand moves towards the button that would initiate the phase shift. As the team watches, she hesitates for just a moment. There's no turning back now, but in her gut, she knows this is their only shot. With a single press, the screen flickers and a ripple of energy spreads out from Earth's orbit. A wave of light bursts outward, bending space and time itself, as the phase shift sends a pulse of energy directly into the heart of the Zarvan fleet. Miranda watches as the energy pulse reaches the alien fleet. The technology that once seemed like a hopeful fantasy is now real, and it's in motion. The Zarvan ships falter, their advanced shields flaring in a futile attempt to block the attack. But Miranda can feel a deep unease settling within her. She may have just made a game-changing move, but there's something terrifying about it. The energy unleashed by the phase shift is unlike anything humanity has ever used before. What if it's too much? What if the consequences ripple out beyond their control, and Earth becomes as much a target as the Zarvans? The question gnaws at her, but as the fleet struggles, she can't afford to dwell on doubts. The stakes are too high. Miranda faces a decision. Was it right to activate such a dangerous weapon? She believes in the necessity of fighting back, but is this the path humanity should choose? Still, the decision has been made, and there is no going back. Her thoughts turn to the people back on Earth. Her family, her friends, the millions of lives that depend on her. The weight of leadership has never been heavier, and for the first time, Miranda feels the full gravity of what she has chosen. But it's too late for second-guessing now. The Zarvan fleet is in disarray, their massive ships struggling to maintain control after the phase shift hit them with full force. The human resistance, once a collection of disparate forces, is now a unified front, and their resolve has never been clearer. However, this victory comes at a cost. The phase shift has destabilized the fabric of space in ways that were not predicted. The energy surge is continuing to expand, pulling everything in its wake. Miranda stands at the helm of the operations center, her eyes locked on the screens. The battle is far from over, but humanity's response has been heard loud and clear. The message is simple and brutal. Earth will no longer be a passive player. With trembling fingers, Miranda activates the comm system and sends a message to the Zarvan leaders. The screens crackle to life with static before a chillingly clear image of Miranda appears on the monitor. To the Zarvan leaders, her voice rings out, firm yet tinged with an icy resolve. You came to Earth with your arrogance, believing us to be weak, fractured, and divided. You underestimated us. We have shown you mercy for far too long. You wanted a war, now you have one. But understand this. This is not an act of rage. This is an act of justice. We are disappointed in you, not angry. You have chosen to invade a peaceful world, and you will answer for your actions. She pauses for a moment, allowing the weight of her words to sink in. We are offering you one chance. Retreat. Leave our planet and never return. If you do not, the consequences will be catastrophic. We are not fighting for survival anymore. We are fighting for the future. This is your final warning. Make your choice. Miranda cuts the transmission, her heart racing as the comms go silent. The fleet watches her, waiting for a signal, an indication of what comes next. The words echo in her mind, and the gravity of her declaration hits her fully for the first time. This is the tipping point. There is no going back now. The Zarvans will either retreat or face the full brunt of humanity's power. Miranda takes a deep breath, steadying herself. She is not just leading a battle. She is leading the future of Earth. She knows the risks, but she also knows this is humanity's moment. Their resilience, their unity, their refusal to back down. This is what sets them apart from every other race in the galaxy. Her eyes flicker to the map, showing the advancing Zarvan forces. The final countdown has begun. She watches, waiting for the answer to her message. The fate of Earth is in their hands, and the universe is about to learn just how far humanity is willing to go to protect its home. The response from the Zarvan fleet is swift. The tension is palpable, the fate of both worlds hanging in the balance. But instead of retaliation, the screens flicker with a new message, a video feed from the Zarvan leaders themselves. They look older, their faces drawn and weary, their eyes filled with a mixture of disbelief and reluctant respect. We underestimated you, Earthlings. The Zarvan Supreme Commander begins, his voice heavy with a foreign sorrow. We thought your planet was nothing more than a primitive rock, ripe for the taking. But you have proven us wrong. The mercy you showed us, the strength in your resolve. The commander looks to his side, as though gathering his thoughts. His posture straightens, as if some invisible weight has been lifted. We will withdraw our forces. Earth will be left in peace. We concede defeat. There's a pause. Miranda watches the transmission, still unsure of what to feel. Victory? Relief? Anger? The Zarvans were leaving, but the scars of the war would remain. Her hand clenches around the armrest as the commander continues. You have earned our respect, and we will never return. But we will also never forget what happened here today. The transmission ends, and the room falls silent. Miranda exhales, her breath shaky but steady. The battle for Earth, for humanity's place in the galaxy, has been won. The Zarvans will retreat, but the war has changed everything. No longer will Earth be viewed as a helpless, insignificant planet. Now, they are a force to be reckoned with. The damage is done, but Earth stands. As the days pass, Earth begins to rebuild. The scars of the battle are visible, but the resolve of the people is stronger than ever. Miranda walks through the ruins of the operations center, her eyes scanning the damage, but her heart is filled with hope. Earth is not just a survivor. It is a victor. Humanity has sent a message to the galaxy, and it has been heard loud and clear. They are not a species to be ignored or underestimated. They are strong, resilient, and most importantly, united. The Zarvans have learned this lesson, and so will any others who dare to challenge Earth. Miranda looks up at the sky, knowing that while this battle has been won, the future is still uncertain. But for the first time, she feels that humanity has a place in the universe, a place they will fight to defend, no matter the cost. Miranda stands at the edge of the battlefield, gazing at the horizon where the setting sun casts its final rays across the ruined landscape. The war is over, but its effects linger. Humanity has won, but at what cost? Her thoughts race back to the beginning of this conflict. The fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. And yet, here they are. They fought back, not just for their planet, but for the very future of their species. The lessons learned in the darkest of times have shaped humanity into something stronger, something more unified. As the evening sky darkens, Miranda reflects on the journey they've been through. Earth wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to define themselves in a universe that had long overlooked them. They had to show that they had a voice, a powerful voice that demanded respect. The memories of the countless lives lost weigh heavily on her shoulders. The loss of her comrades, of families torn apart. These scars are impossible to ignore. Yet, despite the pain, she feels an unshakable sense of pride. They had proven to themselves that they were not weak. They had held their ground when the universe sought to crush them. Miranda takes one last look at the stars, the vastness of space stretching before her. Humanity has sent its message, loud and clear. They are not just survivors, but fighters. They will defend their home, their future, and each other. The universe may look at her differently now, but one thing is certain. Their story is far from over. As she turns and walks back to the heart of the human coalition, her footsteps are sure, filled with purpose. The galaxy has been changed, and Earth's place in it has been solidified. This is just the beginning, she murmurs to herself, her voice carrying the weight of a new era. The challenge is not over. It has only just begun.